everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's look is going to be the last video in this series for the Norvina palettes. So this is 5 looks, 1 palette using the Norvina Volume 2 palette. I'm definitely glad I picked this one up. It is absolutely gorgeous. Here's the palette. It has some really beautiful shimmers and some pressed glitters in it. And I really wanted to try to do some different looks using the purples, using the browns, using the pinks, using that bright, beautiful yellow. So I tried to be as creative as I can and try not to repeat any looks. There are 2 looks that are very, very similar, but I wanted to include them because they are absolutely stunning. These swatches will be up on my Instagram if you are interested. And let's go ahead and get into the video. So this is the palette, and like all of the videos before, I'm going to use the Anastasia Eye Primer for all of the looks. I am also going to really play up the shimmers in this palette. So you'll see me use a Stila Glitter and Glow shadow or some kind of glitter with most of the looks. And that was just because I was really inspired by the shimmers and the pinks and purples in this palette. So for look number 1, I really wanted to use B4 as the highlight shade of the whole eye look, and I really wanted to play up the browns in this palette, so that's what this look is. Something new, I'm swatching each color on the color switch thing that I bought from TJ Maxx, or wiping it off on a towel, so I'm not repeating shadows or repeating brushes. And this is me priming my eye with the ABH primer. So I'm starting off this look using the shade D1. Then I'm going to darken it up with using the shade A4. Then I'm blending any harsh edges. Then I'm using Brûlée by Wet n Wild as a brow bone highlight and to help diffuse any edges of the colors. Now I'm going to take the color D5 and B5, and I'm going to use these to create a halo eye. Using a flat shader brush that's dry, I'm taking B4 and applying that to the inner part of my lid, and then I'm going to take a little bit of A5, which is a champagne color, and apply that just in the center to brighten up the eye look more. And then directly on top of where I placed A5, I'm going to use a light champagne Stila Glitter and Glow shadow and apply that on top of it to really brighten up the eye and add some shimmer. And like with all the other previous looks, a full description will be put in this video if you want to see the exact colors and shades I used. So I added A4 to my lower lash line, and then I'm going to do a wing using the ABH Liquid Liner. And like almost every video that I use this color in, it's going to transfer, and then I'm going to try to clean it up. So excuse the little line that you're about to see. Apply the Colourpop Gel Liner and Call Me to my waterline. You'll be happy to know I finally bought a new lash glue, but this is the final look with the wet glue. Okay, so for look number 2, we're using another Stila Glitter and Glow and focusing on that bright yellow and the pinks. I wanted to go for something completely opposite of the first look and something bold and beautiful. Starting off with a freshly primed eye. So using a fluffy blending brush, I'm gonna apply the shade E1 to my crease. Blending out any harsh edge from that shade. Then we are taking the shade B2 and we are gonna apply that to the outer V to deepen it up. This is going to look very awkward, but we are taking C2 and applying that all over the lid. And we are actually going to apply a Stila Glitter and Glow on top of it, so don't freak out yet. So we're going to take the Stila Glitter and Glow in Dollish and apply that to the inner half of the lid. Now you could totally cut your crease before you apply C2 and apply this. However, I didn't think that was necessary because I can essentially cut my crease using the Stila Glitter and Glow. So I did a winged liner and applied D2 to my inner corner. And then I took the Colourpop gel liner that is yellow called Crossed, and I applied that in my waterline. So this is look number 1 and 2, and I applied the Colourpop Blotted Lip and Bun Head as a sneak peek, and it was gorgeous. So then moving on to look number 2, this look is very similar to the previous look. However, I think it's absolutely stunning. So we're going to start off this look with E1 in the crease again. Then I'm using Brûlée to highlight under my brow bone and clean up any edges. Then I'm going to take C2 and apply that to the outer corner. Then I'm going to take the tiniest bit of E4 and apply that to the outer corner to deepen it up. Then I'm taking a wet brush and applying C1 to the inner half of my lid, so basically where I left it blank, and I'm going to blend that into the C2 and redarken up that corner. Then I'm going to take B1 and apply that as a highlight, and then I'm going to repeat E1, C2, and E4 on the lower lash line. Then I'm going to apply a white liner to my waterline. And then I find these shimmers in all of Norvina's palettes to be lackluster. So I'm going to take the Glitter and Glow in Embellish, which is just a baby pink, and apply that over where we applied C1, and I'm going to blend it again into C2. Then I'm going to apply a very tiny half strip of lashes, and I am going to put mascara on. I'm not gonna lie, these last two looks I kind of ruined, but I did my best. So this is look number 4, and I'm gonna guide you through it and also tell you where not to keep going like I did. Knew going into this look, I wanted to create something purple, and I wanted to use this Sugar and Spice glitter by Lit Cosmetics and possibly Boogie Wonderland. I did end up using both. So I started off by priming my eyelid and putting some loose powder under my eye. And then the first shade I'm going in with is C4, which is this beautiful lilac purple, and I'm going to apply that to my crease. Then I'm going to take A3 and apply that to the outer corner. This is a beautiful magenta color. Now I'm going to take a little bit of B2 and try to deepen up that outer V. I cleaned up the edges with Brûlée, added a little bit more of that C4 color, and now I'm going to do a half cut crease using a cut crease brush by Sigma. So I'm going to take the shade A2 and apply that wet to that blank area I just carved out. So this is the final look using only the Norvina palette without any glitter. You can stop here if you do not want to use any glitter. So using the Lit Cosmetics base, I took Sugar and Spice, applied that to the inner half of the lid. Then I took Boogie Wonderland and applied that to the middle. Now I would stop there. It's about 3/4 of the way in, and you can see the B2 and the A3 poking out in the inner corner. But me being me, I decided to take a Colourpop pressed glitter in a magenta color and put it in the outer corner. This was too much glitter and looked awful. Do not do that. I do not recommend it. I would just stop 3/4 of the way in if you're gonna do glitter. The last purple look did not go as planned. It was really pretty until I ruined it and put on that third glitter. So before the third glitter, it was stunning. Don't do what I did. So we're starting off the last look by applying C4 to the crease again. So I'm going to start by applying E4 in the inner and outer corners. And then a little bit in from that, I'm going to apply B2, and I'm going to start to create the shape for a halo eye. Then I'm going to take a flat shader brush and apply the color C3 wet to the part that was empty. Then I take a little bit more C4 and go back through my crease to add more purple. But then when I go back in with B2 and E4 to re-blend out the edges of the halo eye, it starts to stick to my crease and not want to move. And I don't know if it was the primer in that one area or if it was the shadow. So then I'm going to blend out the edges. And then I'm going to apply C4 to my lower lash line to really play up the purple. And then taking a small brush, I'm taking Lilac Legend, which is a Little White Lies liquid eyeshadow by Stila. And I do believe this was limited edition. I don't know if they sell it anymore, but I got mine at TJ Maxx. I'm going to apply that to my inner corner and my brow bone and on top of where I applied C3. And that is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this 5 looks 1 palette using the Norvina Volume 4 palette. I definitely love this palette. I think as far as packaging goes, the third one was my favorite. And as far as shadows go, this one is my favorite. It definitely sparks my creativity. And I do apologize for not using the pressed glitters in the palette. I am saving those for future looks, as my mind is already racing with 1,000 different ideas that I can do. I hope you guys enjoyed this mini series using the Norvina palettes. I will have to give best shadows to this palette and best packaging to number 3. And I think most versatile, if you're going to pick one up, would be Volume 2. My only critique is that some of the shades repeat, and once you get them on the eyes, they do not look any different. If you like this series or video, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. The next palette that I'm going to be talking about on my channel is going to be the Sailor Moon palette by Colourpop.